Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
So good to see you all. We're glad that you all are here. Please come on in, hit share, let somebody know that we are on. I know it's Thursday. I know this is totally out of our wheelhouse as far as being uh, on a Thursday. But tonight we want to do the pre-launch to our couples life group. So if you're engaged or married, hit share, tag somebody, hang out with us for the next maybe 30 minutes, and we're going to talk to the amazing couple that's going to be leading this life group for us. And we are going to bring them on now, and that's none other than Mr. Richard and Mary Robinson. Hey, 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 hey.
Hi, everyone.
Um, thank y'all again. Thank y'all for y'all time and hanging out with us today and being here. And so glad that everybody can get a chance and get an opportunity to get to know you all.
Sure.
Before we get started, we want to just honor the Spirit of Christ, and we just thank God for who He is and honor our leaders. Shout out to our bishop and our first lady.
Amen.
Thank God for them. Thank God for our brother and sister in the Lord that's given leadership there in Raleigh, Pastor Edward Well and Lady Tammy. And thank God for my wife. She's back with me again.
Woo! Meeting this quota this week.
She's back. So she's about live now. She's so glad she's hanging out with us. And thank God for everybody that's on. Hit share. Let somebody know. And we know. I know this is totally out of our warehouse, but we want to launch. We're pre-launch our life groups for couples, for all of our married couples, especially those that are within our ministry, even those that look at our ministry as a source of encouragement and a source of spiritual nourishment. So. And I guess I can just say we're excited to have Mary and
Richard.
Richard.
And Richard.
Excited to have them on tonight. In the night, we just gonna kind of just talk to y'all and just we know y'all, but we want everybody else um, to know y'all. And I can just say this: I know what you and Mary, y'all been friends for.
We go back
Y'all
like fat kids and cake, man. Come on.
E5.
85. E5. We go back to college days.
Yeah, y'all were college roommates. Mary was maid of honor and all that.
She was our maid of honor of our wedding. We were college roommates. Yes.
Yeah, so. All right. We know them to be an amazing couple.
Yes.
Couple that exemplifies Christ's relationship with the church. Absolutely. Is what I like to say. Three beautiful kids. But I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let them tell it. And I guess towards the end, we're really kind of digging into the benefits of what a life group is. Yeah. We'll kind of dig into that. So, the floor is y'all. Y'all talk to the people, introduce yourselves, let them know all of this stuff, everything.
Yeah. So, Richard and Mary Robinson, we've been together.
Hold on, let me say this first. Okay, his name is Richard. Okay. However, I will call him Neil. So if you hear me say Neil, it's the same person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got that disclaimer?
I had to put it out there, man.
Okay. You couldn't do Richard?
I only do that when I'm being silly. Like, Richard, come here.
Yeah, exactly.
Neil.
Exactly. But we've been together 18.
We've been married 18 years.
But we've been together
23.
So
wow.
I pre-exist you, Lady J, just a little bit.
A little bit.
You do.
Just a little bit.
2 years.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. And then we've been together that long. My wife has a master's degree in early childhood education from ODU. And I'm a military vet with my master's degree in information systems. And we really enjoy being married. I think that's one of the big things. We got married at 22.
Well, I was 21.
You were 21? I get them young. Dude, she was 21, I was 22. So, I'm robbing the cradle apparently. And we just been together and we've enjoyed being married, and we think marriage is a very special institution. We think it's sacred, and it's one of those things that you gotta work on and nourish. You gotta
work it.
Yeah, you gotta treat
Absolutely.
it like anything else in your life. You work on your body, you work on your mind, you work to learn things, and your marriage is no different. It's something you have to consciously work
Yeah,
at.
for sure.
So that's big for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, we've been married, and like you guys said, we have 3 kids,
Hmm.
2 girls and a boy. Almost 13. We have a
Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
13, and what do we have now? 18 more days.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then we have a 6-year-old. Nope, sorry, 7-year-old, and 6-year-old.
Mhm.
And so, parenting brought another layer into our marriage. We did wait a little while before
Yep.
we had children,
We
but
did. We
there
did.
were some circumstances that revolved around that too.
Mhm.
But yeah, so married that long, 3 kids. Also, I'm a trained classroom teacher, taught public school for 10 years.
Mhm.
And then the Lord told me that I needed to homeschool. So I've been homeschooling now for 8 years.
Ain't that a blessing? Look at God.
All 3. Now I have a classroom of 3.
Mhm.
Started off with 1, then 2, now 3.
Mhm.
And so I've been in those trenches, still using my master's degree for my 3 children instead of, other hundreds of kids that I've taught over the years. So, and then in addition to your 9-to-5 job,
Mhm.
um,
I run a
Neil has
startup.
a business,
Mhm.
and we do that together. I do like a lot of the client side. He does the directing and all that stuff for the people that's creating things for us. So
Yep. And it goes back to being a partnership. We've been a partnership from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even back when we were dating at 16 and 17. So I guess in this case I was 17 and you were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make sure I get the numbers right.
I mean, because we got married on our anniversary of when we started dating. So
yeah.
it's this the numbers are
They always
about
work out the same. But even from then, from the very beginning, it was a partnership, and we both were all in. So it's been kind of you jump in, you're all in, you're giving it your all, and we strive to be hot.
Yeah. So we like to say we keep our marriage hot, but not like people want to pretend like we're meaning. We really just honest, open, and transparent. That's
Okay.
marriage hot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talk about everything. We also have a podcast. And so it's called 9-7 because that's the year we started dating. And so on there, we talk a lot about just our honesty, our openness, our transparency with each other, talking about literally everything, every step of the way. And
even the tough conversations. And I think that's something people avoid, and it's something you can even avoid it in your marriage or in your relationships, right? You can you can just avoid the tough conversations, like, we're having money issues, but you just don't want to talk about it because you're like, maybe one person is working 2 jobs and the other person is working, and you only get a little bit of time together, and you're like, I don't want to spend this 30 minutes or hour we got to watch this movie to talk about the financial trouble. I'm just not gonna worry about it and go to bed. But then over time you get upset when it doesn't fix itself.
Starts to fester.
And then it leads to a lot of those kind of things. And then we do participate in Bold Faith, which I think is really a really interesting concept for couples, because it's one of those things where it's like, as an individual, like before we were dating or something like that, if I'm moved to do something, I could just go do it. Get married, you still can do that, but you just have extra consideration to take into account.
Absolutely.
When you said that, you was kind of opening that was basically kind of my next question was to y'all is about talk about your faith journey in your marriage, your walk with God in your marriage, and how has that played a part, and when did that start to play a part in your marriage?
Yeah, so our faith journey has been real interesting, right? Because one of the things we learned early, which I think has been a big blessing, is because we have that partnership in everything we do, uh, it translates to our faith walk too.
Mhm.
Because there's times when I'm moved to do a thing, or sometimes when I'm questioning a thing, where I can go to her and get confirmation. But
Mm,
other times when we're in the midst of moving in a thing, and sometimes when you're making a move, like we picked up the family and moved, 2 states over, right,
Mhm.
for a job opportunity. But it's times in those moments, it's certain things about it, because sometimes you have the move itself, right?
Right.
In the faith walk, it's I'm going to go do this thing.
Mhm.
Now, once you make that claim and you start to move on the big thing, there's several small things
Yeah.
that happen underneath
Mhm.
yeah.
that larger journey. And even in that is, simple things like we're moving across, 2 states, and we're looking for a house to rent. And as we approach different houses, I'm just like, it's a building, it got walls, the neighborhood looks nice. We got the money to get it, let's go. And that's not it.
And it's
No.
it's funny because about maybe 2 months ago, we were talking with another couple friend of ours, and we were talking about our faith journey and the way God works with us. And so what we learned pretty well, it took maybe 5 years in, we learned that the way God works with us is if there's a lot of opposition toward a thing, that's not the way to go. Because for us, let me
Yeah.
keep saying that, for us, because
Yes.
whenever we have a step that we're supposed to make, it's always been an ease and a peace about it. It might have some obstacles we got to go over, but the peace is always there. Just like he said, when we moved 2 states away, he had opportunities flying in from all over the country
Hmm.
because of the profession that he's in, and he's excellent at it. And so some of them would come in, I'm like, that ain't it. I don't have peace about it. That's not it. But then when this one came up, I was like, that's it. And it was not even a question. It was like, God was like, that's the one. I didn't have to even mull over it. The other ones, I'm like, is it? And I'm like thinking of all these things. But when it's it, it's it. And
Mhm.
it's just, you just know.
And so it turns into it. What it turned into is like almost a barometer of sorts, because I have that kind of faith of I'll make the move and I'll take the risk, and I've built a trust in our relationship that she knows that whatever move I'm going to make, I'm going to do it in the best interest of the family first.
Right.
It's never a move I'm making for my own glory. It's always going to benefit everyone in my household first. And because she has that trust, it's built a trust in me, in her, to say, hey, this is the thing I'm about to do. And if she doesn't have peace, it's almost like a barometer of, you know what, you might need to sit down a little bit. You might need to pray on it a little longer, because that's not sitting right in my spirit.
Right.
That's your second Holy Spirit is what I is
Exactly.
what I say. Mary, you just said something that I think is so critical, because I know it's something that we often talk about and we often say. And I think this is going to be important as we go into these groups, as we go into this group, this particular group, the couples group. And you said this is what works for us.
Yeah.
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 I think so many times, especially in marriage ministry and church, and I can honestly say that I've had in some cases I had like this righteous discontentment with sometimes on how marriage ministry is approached,
Yeah.
because the discontentment is that we try to take this. Okay, let's say, okay, me and my wife, we I'm pastor, she's first lady, we're leaders, people say we're faith leaders. I think a lot of times faith leaders or pastors, however you want to classify them, they'll take their way, what
Yeah.
works in their house, and they'll try to make their house the standard for every house that's in their congregation.
Right.
And that's not how it's supposed to work.
Exactly.
You can be, I had somebody ask me the other day, they said, hey, do you feel like you're in a mentoring season in your life, or you're in a place where you're doing a lot of mentoring? I say, no, not mentoring. I said, I do feel like God has me being more of a model.
Mm.
And I actually brought this up the other night when we were talking. And a model just means I feel like there are people that are watching me, and they're kind of using what I say and even my lifestyle as a source of inspiration, a source of encouragement. And I think that's the best way for marriage ministry within church, is that it's modeled. You can see it. Let this be an encouragement to you.
Right.
But you got to know how to take this and make it your own.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, and I think part of that too, and Neil, I think we've talked about this before. I think that's part of what kind of turns men off from church.
Absolutely.
Is that you got, you know, the lady, she looking at the pastor and she's trying to get her husband to be like the pastor.
Right.
Yep.
Won't you dress like the pastor, act like the pastor, and not know that ain't that man?
Right.
Yep.
So it may be some things he can inspire, some things he may get, but it has to be, and that's what I really want the couples group to really understand. Like, this is a safe space, but like you said too, right, you got to work it and you got to know what's yours. There is no cookie cutter, because what may work in my house may get you cussed out in your house.
Right.
So you got to find that out.
Yeah. And honestly, even through some experience that we've had in churches, when you know, you get some faith leaders that approach it that way, that becomes the instant turnoff for men. Because I know, like, for me, you can't run my house.
Exactly.
That's gonna be the first no. Wait, you want me to do what? Who said that? He said that? Oh, no. I'm gonna reject it just because you said it that way. Nah.
and you ain't never showing up.
Ain't never showing up.
Right.
And when you do show up, you feeling some type of way towards them.
Yeah, it may even be an altercation in the situation. Might have to just say a few words, like shake your hand real tight. Hey, pastor, please a little bit, like, you know. But I think that's super important. And honestly, it was one of the things that we learned really early on, because, you know, I joined the military right out of high school. And when we got married in 2002, I was still enlisted.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we found was really interesting. So we got married because I was about to deploy. You can listen to the podcast to hear the whole lengthy story. We tell it in detail. But we got married. I was about to deploy. And then when I get back, you know, we're living together for the first time. But the thing that was really liberating was we were living together out of state where nobody knew us.
No one knew us.
So we only had each other, but then we only had, like, there was nobody could put anything on us. There was no family to say, oh, you just like grandma and grandpa when they got married young.
Right.
Or, you know, none of that was there.
There weren't any opinions about how we did things, why we did things.
Right.
It was just in the Lord. And we could pray about it, and we could say, okay, so how is this supposed to work? And, you know, the Lord working on him and being a husband, and me and being a wife. And we have preconceived notions based on the things that we saw, you know, as children and beyond, but they weren't us either. You know, like, it didn't take us long for us to understand that was a great marriage, but their situation does not look like our situation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, even the ones who were closely aligned to the way our situation looked still weren't us. It doesn't work that way.
Which was a huge blessing for us very early on in our marriage, because we got to work a lot of things out, kind of not necessarily in isolation, but we got to work a lot of things out and just come to some understandings. And then we had no pressure to do anything.
Right.
Like when we first got married, we had a microwave, 2 TVs.
We had nothing.
We had like a microwave, TV, GameCube or something like that.
We
like
had
a
curtains that were really just big plastic bags.
Yeah.
We had 2 microwaves, a TV sitting on top of a storage container, I mean, we literally were like, we're going to make this thing work. Like, you don't have anything, I don't have, because the military, being real, when you just enlist, they don't pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
The
Look
benefit,
how far God done brought you.
woo! You
exactly.
know, shucks, that's a testimony in itself.
Yeah, look
I
how
think
far
the thing
God done brought you.
Oh, but I think the thing that makes that great was we also didn't have anybody saying, when y'all gonna get a couch? And that sounds silly, right? But when you're a young couple and y'all still just trying to figure out finances and stuff like that, a $1,500 couch can be a big purchase at that time. So
A $500 couch can be a big purchase.
you know what I'm
Come
saying?
on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just simple stuff like that, and not having that pressure, and just like, hey, we got this air mattress and this TV, or we got these lawn chairs and this TV, and we happy. We're gonna sit here and watch these DVDs that I had in the barracks for like 5 years. Like, we watched Life, I don't know how many times.
Man, I could quote the whole
movie. But that's what it was. But it gave us a lot of room to grow and really learn each other, and really set our own, not necessarily expectations, but set our own moods for things, and just see how we feel about each other in a space. And it really helped, because if we didn't like each other before, which we did, by the time we got through that, we really just liked each other as people. Like, I enjoy just hanging out with her.
Hanging out.
Hey, that right there is so key. And again, that's something we always talk about.
You have to be friends. You have to like the
Yeah.
person you're married to.
Do you know? I don't think we realize sometimes, especially married couples, we're required to love everybody.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
We're required to love everybody. Now, we understand that there are different types, but we're
Mhm.
required to. Now, our thing is, like, especially, we start talking like we like each other. Like, we cool. We like each other. And sometimes I'd be concerned with like couples, like, do y'all say y'all love each other, but do y'all like each other?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, are you just cool just being around them? If it's just, you always find you cool, or do you gotta find a distraction?
Mhm.
Do you gotta find something to do just to avoid? Like, are you really working that hard, or
Right.
are you working just to
Not be at home.
not be at
Not be
home?
present.
Not be at home.
People that we've spoken with, over the course of COVID and everything, that
Oh,
they
yeah.
were like, I just need an office outside my house. And us, we're like, yes, you get to work from home all the
This
time.
is the best. Yeah.
We at the house, we like, man, this is all right here.
Right.
We good. So I think that's key, in liking each other, and really having some type of friendship
Yeah.
Yeah.
in your marriage. We know y'all gonna do, what y'all do. We know y'all gonna do grown stuff, but do you like each other?
Yep.
Like, so I think that's something I know that you all can speak of, and I know that just with that is going to add value to other couples. You all have that aspect and actually liking each other.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's the thing that's interesting about it is it does so much for the relationship, right? When you
Absolutely.
together, you create, like, people you like, people in your life that you just like as people, you give them grace by default. That comes with liking a person. Like, people that you just like, people that you're friends, that you have wherever they exist in your life. Like, you have friends only at the barbershop, or you have friends that you only see in these certain circumstances. But because they're your friends and you like them, you'll give them grace. The first time they say something slick or something, you're not going to take it the same way as if they was a stranger. So
that's true.
So why wouldn't you, extend that same grace to your spouse? Which it just comes as a default when you like them. You also create a safe space for people that you like. People that you like can tell you, hey, and you'll be like, oh, thanks, man, I appreciate it. And know that maliciously you're trying to make fun of it. And so you create that safe space to have those conversations, or for them to talk to you or ask you questions, or even sometimes come to you with their issues, because they feel psychologically safe around you to say, hey man, I got this issue. You mind talking to me about it in private, or if you get some time on the side? And that's just for people you like, you know what I'm saying? So when you don't like your spouse, you kind of suck that out of your house. You know what I'm saying? You suck that out of one of the places that's supposed to give you peace,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
and you don't have that same psychological safety. You're not extended that grace, and now you're walking around on eggshells, and
Yep.
you scared
The
to say
tension's all
something. The
thick.
tension's real thick. It's a whole lot of things that come along with that sometimes people treat as the problem with their relationship, when really it's just a symptom of you not really liking that person,
The person. Yeah.
you know?
Um, one of the things, and this kind of going kind of shift the conversation a tad bit. One of the reasons I really wanted to, I feel like, I feel like the Lord was really leading us to start a couples group first. One of the things that I just don't want to see, I don't want to see couples in church. When I say couples in church, I'm not just talking about couples in church. I'm talking about tenured couples. I'm talking about couples that have been with God for a minute, couples that have been in church for a while. I just had this, Lord just kind of just was just dealing with me, and this in my spirit is just not seeing their marriages deteriorate, but really seeing their marriages flourish and move to a healthy and a whole place.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think for me, one of the things that I started to think about was, one, like, am I doing enough? Like, are we really doing enough to, give couples, what they need? Um, have y'all ever had a season or a time in y'all marriage where I know y'all relationship with God, I know y'all love God with your whole heart, and I know y'all been loving God for a long time. But was there a season or a time in y'all marriage where even, with knowing God, y'all had to fight together? You know what I'm saying? Like y'all had to get through a rough space together?
Oh yeah. You got an example ready?
I mean, I can have an example just even in this past year.
Mm.
Like for me, my anxiety was out of like crazy control, where it was one of those things. And, I talked to Jen about it. I'm sorry, Lady J, I have a hard time sometimes.
Jen.
That's
You
20
know,
some years. That's almost 20 some years right there.
it's so hard.
Mhm.
I'm always in the comments like, Lady J. But, she's one of the people in my life that I like.
Mhm.
So she's a safe space for me a lot of times.
Yes.
A lot of time. And so, like this year was rough anxiety wise for me.
Mhm.
And, it was one of those times where, the faith side of my brain was saying you'll be okay, everything's going to be fine, you repeat scriptures, but then the other side was like, nah girl, you ain't good, all of these other voices coming in, and I'm like trying to read scriptures, and I'm like really having to just bear it all out with him, this guy, because he's like, I mean, if he wasn't in IT, he should have been in psychology or something. Like he's really good with understanding and problem solving, and let's think about this logically and that type of thing. And it was hard.
If he can fix a computer, he can fix a brain.
But it was really, really hard. And but it was one of those times where he helped me fight. He helped me see, no, Mary, you're fine. Let's focus on the scripture. What scripture are we going to focus on? And, he's helping me, repeat that scripture. And then I'm like, okay, okay, I'm calming down. It's okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, in the ways of being, like the moniker head of household and all that kind of stuff, right? It's something that I take very, very seriously. And in that situation, to have that kind of attack on my wife is like, even like if I go back to my military experience, right? When you swear in at the military, you swear to protect the nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's one of those things. It's like, oh, you just gonna try to hit me at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the person that I literally hold nearest and dearest, you know,
Mhm.
my heart. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we talk about our faith walk, we talk about faith, we talk about praying together, things like that. And when we even talk about, you know, at a very practical level, the armor of God, right? And how you suit up and different things like that. And it's one of those things that from a faith perspective, I'm very well versed in. Uh, and I treat it very, very similar to the military, right? You can't go into a confrontation without the right equipment. So if you're going to try to win souls, you got to be prepared for that kind of verbal combat, so to speak, right? Where they may try to double back, or they may know more Bible than you, and what tactics are you going to use to try to not you know obliterate them, but just get them to see another viewpoint.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So in this situation, you know, when my wife was going through that, it's one of those times where it's one of the few times in life where I was taken aback in the way of I didn't expect this from this person. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so when she's laying it all out, it did take, you know, some extra meditation and some extra prayer walks and, you know, a little extra meditation early in the morning, a little more Bible reading at night to make sure that I was equipped, you know, to one, provide that safe space for her to feel like she could say those words to me and say what she felt was going wrong or what she felt was going right? Because coming from your wife, it can be really personal, right? You're like, I
Mhm.
provide all of these things, and now you're saying this thing is wrong, or this thing in the environment is making you feel some kind of way, or you just feel this way in general, and you're like, wait a minute, this safe space that I've built for you and the three kids, you shouldn't feel that way. And now if you me, the first thought is, well, I want to remove whatever that agitator is
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. And it's one of those things where it's like, but you gotta kind of not take it personally.
Mhm.
And you gotta it's one of the few times where I had to, you know, take a step out of myself and say, you can't take this personally because she's being attacked on a different level.
That's right.
You have to support her
Mhm.
way so she can build a defense to fend off the attack when you're not around, right? Because especially in the COVID situation, you know, if it had broken sooner and we were going back to the office, you know, that would have been, oh, that's 8 hours. I'm going to be outside the home now, and if she starts to feel this way, I got to help equip her with the tools, you know, to be able to fend this off when I'm not around. So it was a very trying situation for us as a couple because um, you know, it's one of those things where the enemy watches you long enough to find
The one thing.
how to attack you, because
Exactly.
Yes.
you can't attack everybody the same way.
Right.
You know, like we've been poor, we've been without, so taking stuff from us, take it. We're not pressed. You know what I'm saying?
That don't bother you.
Right.
Right.
That won't bother us, and we don't seek status. So, you know, items, you know, don't hold a lot of weight for us.
Yeah.
But our relationship is hypercritical,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
only in the way of our mental health, but it's just something that we cherish, that we've been building and constantly working on. So to attack that, that's probably been the most personal attack that I've had from the enemy since we've been together.
That's true.
And it's good because I mean y'all say something that I always say, especially to couples that I have opportunity to talk to, is that taking that step back to realize that you're on the same team.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Taking that step back to realize you're on the same team. Um, and I forget which one you said it, but you said some. Oh man, I think you said it about my wife being that safe space. And while we're talking about this group, I want people to know that the group is a safe space.
Absolutely.
And I'm definitely not encouraging you. It's up to you If you want to throw all your business out there, that is totally up to you. But I do want you to know it's a safe space. Another reason for the start of this group. A couple weeks ago, like I ain't even told my wife this, so she hearing this for the first time. So whatever reaction y'all get, it's about to be real.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this.
A couple weeks ago, I wake up like, why are you looking at me like that?
She want to hear it too.
Yeah. Like I wake up dumb early. Like, yeah, I wake up early, but that's part of my routine is, meditating, all that stuff. But anyway, recently, a couple years ago now, I ain't gonna say recently, I started writing in the morning. So I keep like a prayer journal of some sort type of thing. And I was thinking about this, praying about this, and we have a chimney. Y'all know why a chimney is at. Y'all know why our fireplace is at in our house.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down every characteristic about that fireplace and how it parallels to marriage. It's a whole page full. But one of the things that I wrote down that the Lord gave me, which I think is so important for this platform and this group, was the ventilation system.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the ventilation system of the fireplace, it goes up. The smoke from the fire goes up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come out.
Mm-hmm.
If the smoke from the fireplace comes out, we die.
Yeah.
I want couples to understand the reason that we have this group is that you have the right ventilation system in your marriage. Because every marriage needs a safe space. And here's the thing. I don't care if you've been married 40 years, 50 years, 25 years, 10 years, 3 years. Every marriage needs the proper ventilation system, and it has to be in the right space. And that's what I'm looking forward to, for couples to understand that, you know what, I can connect to a family, another group of couples that think like I think, believe like I believe. Their relationship is centered around the same faith as my relationship, and I really want them to understand, like, this is a safe space, and the whole goal of this space is to make you better. And not to die from the fires that come in your marriage, because it's not if a fire comes, it's when a fire comes. It's when a fire comes. And I know we're getting close to the end. What are y'all looking forward to the most as being leaders of this group?
I'm so excited. I think I just talking with other couples, just, having discussion, because we are not preachers, so we're not gonna be in there talking for an hour and that's it. That is not my lane. But leading discussions and things, I think it's going to be great. And then, of course, I didn't say this earlier, but I really like to do things with my hands and, craftiness and things like that. So I want to be able to tie some of that in too, eventually. But yeah, I'm just excited for the fellowship with other couples, because Lord knows it doesn't happen as often as I think it should.
And for me, I agree with that. I think for me, the thing I look most forward to is helping other couples, regardless of where they are, see that it's not so different. And your journey is similar, and we tend to use an analogy of climbing a mountain. And in that analogy that we use, we always talk about, like, you're on a journey, right? And there's a mountain somewhere in the distance, and maybe you haven't gotten there yet to start climbing it, but other people have tread this path before you. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a clear path, right? Because if somebody came through this path one time before and it's been 40 years later, it's going to be overgrowth.
Yep.
Rush. It's going to be times where you don't know exactly if you're on the path or not.
Yep.
Things like that. And you know, the people that come before you, they can leave signposts and different things like that to help guide you. But you still
gotta make your
you
own
got to
path.
find your own way through, and
Yeah.
you cut your path sometimes, which is not always exactly
Yep.
the original path that was there. And I think that is super powerful. And then to my wife's point, we're not preachers or ministers, so we're not gearing this in a way of, it's not church in that way. It is Christ infused is the
Yes.
pattern there. Is these are the beliefs and these are the values. So it'll get referenced either directly or indirectly, but it's not necessarily the focal point. So it's one of those things where if you're not, you know, if you don't have the Bible memorized front to back and things like that, you can show up and know that the principles that are given are Bible based,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're faith based, and
Mhm.
that'll come up in conversation. And it's not even a test of your faith. It's just sometimes people don't recognize how much they walk in faith on a daily basis. Like,
Mm.
you know, faith is belief in things not seen. Well, you haven't
Yeah.
seen tomorrow until you wake up.
That's
But
right.
no one goes to sleep expecting to die.
Mhm.
You know,
That's right.
so every night you get in your bed and you say, I see you in the morning, you kiss your loved ones. You just spoke faith that
You lay out clothes. That's
yeah,
faith.
yeah, that's faith.
You have a plan
That's
for
faith.
the next day.
Yeah.
You just, you know, and it's one of those things that I think, you know, getting other couples to see that and experience that, and then being able to ask questions, I think is super important, because, you know, we're approaching our 19th year.
Mhm.
We're quickly approaching our 19th year, and since we've been here and in COVID, we've talked about and reflected on our marriage a couple of times, just
A lot.
in conversation sometimes. And what we realized is some of the big value added to our life is having other couples in our life. And
Yes.
not so much that they, you know, do a lot of stuff for us or with us or anything like that,
Yeah,
but
we're
just
not
the
like,
fact.
you know, we're not like the movies of the 90s, you know, Love Jones, where all the couples get together.
Yeah.
Even though that's one of those things, like, man, that would have been fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. But, you know, just the fact that couples exist like yourselves, you know, we have some other couple friends that, you know, when we do get to talk or we do get to hang out, or even in, you know, when we just have conversations amongst the different groups, like when you talk to Jen or I talk to Rondell, it's one of those things where it's like you get that, oh, I'm not alone.
Right.
Yep.
You know,
We know that all too well, don't we, Mary?
Yeah.
you know, we have our couple friends in Maryland. We talked to them one day, and we talked to them like 3.5, 4 hours. And it was just interesting, because it was just like, oh, we're not the only ones that suffer with this thing, or, you know, being this type of person and working in this type of environment and married and have to consider kids, you know. Oh, I do understand not flying off the handle at work when you really want to, because you got 3 miles to feed. And when you get home, they're going to be like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Food, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where you can relate, you can blow off a little steam. And sometimes it's just fun to be able to relate on those different levels, and be able to, again, be in that safe space to just bring up those questions, you know, because I feel like somebody's going to ask the question, does your husband leave his socks on the floor too? And then
Yes.
it's like,
Yes.
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 Yeah. It's the largest shelf in your house.
Exactly. So just those, it's those soft touches that I look forward to, and seeing the couples get to embrace that and
Like,
have those conversations.
So it's not just us.
It's not just
I can't believe you said that. Our house does not look like it's a floor large shelf.
No, it doesn't.
Hey, what are you most looking forward to with your group?
I'm looking forward to, I think like both Mary and Neil said, the fellowship
Mhm.
and just hearing. I like to hear like other couples' experiences when you do start talking about something, because a lot of times your way is not the only way
Right.
Mhm.
or necessarily the right way.
Mhm.
So like a lot of times I'll talk to Mary about something. It's giving you another perspective. I can say the same thing about Neil. Neil for me is like the voice of reason and calmness a little bit. He's like, well, Jen,
Mhm.
look at it this way. But
Yeah.
it's good to know that you're not alone in something. Because
Mhm.
whether, like you said, whether you've been married 50 years or 5 months,
Mhm.
it's good to know that you're not alone.
Right.
Yep.
and all of that, I'm looking forward to all of that. I want people to know this. If you're watching live and you're watching this, later, I want you to know that a couple of the benefits that you can get out of being connected to what the phrase that we'll use. Some people call them small groups. We're calling them life groups because we believe that's what it's going to do. It's going to speak life into whatever area of your life that you're believing God for. It's going to give you fellowship, good fellowship, I should say. It's going to give you good fellowship or good community. Number two, it's going to let you realize that you're, like y'all said, you're not the only one.
Right.
Mhm.
You're not the only one. And that's one of the biggest tricks of the enemy.
Yep.
Is to isolate you and make you feel like you're the only one, that your marriage is the only one that has trouble. Your marriage is the only one that y'all are the only ones that have disagreements to the level that y'all have disagreements. You'll discover in these groups that you're just like everybody else, and the only reason other couples may be you may think that, but the reason is they need the same grace and mercy
Right.
Yep.
in their marriage that you need. So I think those two things is important for people to know, and for everybody to know that when you connect to this, you're in a safe space and it's good fellowship, and you're going to recognize that you're not alone, that you and your husband, you and your wife, you're not alone. And the unique thing about this group or these groups, because it's going to be more, this is virtual.
Mhm.
This is virtual. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to go nowhere. It's not going to be Facebook Live, so your business ain't going to, anybody just ain't going to click and just stroll on in. This is going to be a Zoom. And now this might probably be the most selfish thing to be excited about. This might be the most self-serving, and I don't never like to be self-serving, especially in ministry. This is probably the most self-serving thing I can say.
You don't have to do it.
No, it's not that. It's not that I don't have to do it. But since we're using Zoom, the leader of the group, one of the leaders of the group, is like he invented technology. So
He invented technology.
he invented this stuff. Like in my mind, Neil invented Zoom, the iPhone, Twitter,
Instagram, Facebook.
But no, having somebody that's savvy in this that can help people who may not be as savvy, I think it's a benefit.
Another benefit, I think, I'm excited. It's another couple leading.
Yes,
It's another couple leading.
it's another couple that is leading something. And if I say we don't have to, now that's part of I do feel good about that. And this is what and the reason I for everybody listening, like I told y'all, this gives us the opportunity, and even me the opportunity to spend time with some what people might call some babes in Christ, some new people to disciple. And I really want to be able to walk with them and help them grow and disciple them. So this kind of gives me that opportunity, because now I know that the couples life group is in good hands. because as I mentioned, it's a couple that we trust, a couple that we've seen, that we've watched. We've seen the fruit of your life. Like it's just your life is not fruitless.
Right.
Like your life is not fruitless. And if people knew like the whole thing, like they like you was talking about them 2 microwaves and no plastic bags. But if they was to see the whole, if they would know the whole thing, and Neil, even your journey,
Yeah.
like even your journey, not just a professional, but even part of your faith journey.
Yeah.
So your life has so much fruit, and because of that, y'all gonna be able to add so much value to other couples. And y'all mentioned it. This is not something that's preaching.
Mhm.
It's not churching.
Mhm.
It's really kind of leading a discussion and a conversation. But it's Bible based, faith based. It's God through and through, sanctified, holy. It's all of that. So I'm excited for the couples that I know that it's going to connect, and I know it's going to be a blessing. And again, listen, this is something they don't have to leave the house, and we're going to continue to set up and make sure all of our technology and all that stuff is right. And I'm glad that I can lean on you, Neil, because I have no clue.
He invented the internet.
Because you invented the internet. You invented what was the vice president's name?
Al Gore.
Al Gore's internet.
We did. That was our summer project together.
Yep, you did all of this. You did all of this.
Yeah.
So, thank y'all so much. I appreciate it. Y'all jumping on with us tonight, and this is just kind of our pre-launch, and
Yep.
we're gonna start rolling some more stuff up out, and ready to get people signed up and connected. So,
Yeah.
We're excited.
We're super excited.
y'all got anything else y'all want to share? Your last words before we close it out?
No, we're just excited. We're ready to get this thing going next month, in
Mhm.
May, and we look forward to meeting all the couples and chit chatting and talking.
Yep. And I'll say, if you wanna get to know us a lot better, just listen to the podcast. The podcast is really us. We in COVID, we decided that it will be good, and it's funny how this all worked out, right? So we've been doing the podcast a year now, or a little over a year now, and we had decided to do a podcast because we figured that we had talked like to you guys and some other people that's like, man, you guys have a real beautiful story, and it's a lot people can gain from it. And so we were like, we should just tell our story. And so the podcast is really just us sitting down, doing a little bit of reminiscing down memory lane, and just really starting to tell our story of our relationship and how it came about and why it's important. So if you want to get the inside track on us, listen to the podcast.
9-7 podcast.
9-7 podcast on all the podcasting platforms. We even set up a Twitter in case people had questions about the podcast. So it's 9-7 podcast on Twitter
and
Instagram. So that's something you could listen to and know, really a lot of details about us as a couple.
Yeah. You got anything?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, all right. I want to say thank you to
Thank
everybody.
you guys.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for putting this to prayer and saying yes. Hearing from God and saying yes to lead this. So thank y'all so much, and thank you everybody that logged on tonight. Everybody that came on Thursday night. I know you're not used to seeing me on Thursday night, and but I'm so glad that y'all came up here and listened. And real soon, we're gonna more information is gonna start to come out more consistently as we get closer to our launch date. So we're excited. We're excited about it, and I just know it's going to be a blessing to you if you're engaged. Even if you're engaged, you can be a part of it.
Especially engaged.
Yeah, you need this. And let me just say this. I think. Okay, no, I'm not going to say. Yes, I am. I think sometimes we in church, I think we do engage couples. I want to say injustice, and that might be the wrong word, and that might offend people. But I can't think of it. Because we put them like in limbo,
Mhm.
or we send them to the singles ministry because we say, well, technically
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
y'all single if you ain't married.
Mm-hmm.
So you got this engaged couple sitting in singles ministry.
Right.
Yep.
They really need to be over in the marriage ministry
Mm-hmm.
preparing.
Mhm.
They need to be prepared because I like to say this: you can't learn how to use the slingshot when Goliath show up.
Come
Right.
on.
Exactly.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be trying like, okay, where did Rock go and
Mhm.
he's here.
Too late.
And I think with engaged couples, I think I know that we will include them.
Yeah.
So when Goliath show up,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to use the slingshot.
That's a great point, because that's something we talk about too. How you go from you're single, and even nobody really recognizes that engagement piece, and then you're married, and now all of the expectations of being a married couple get kind of dropped on top of you. So you just was like, I was single yesterday, and now today I'm married, and now all of a sudden you have all of these expectations. Where were they before the ceremony?
Exactly.
Both sides of the house.
Yeah.
But we're married now, and it's like, wait a minute, I feel blindsided, and that can be beginning of some black eyes.
And two things gonna happen. If engaged couple, if we include them in marriage, two things gonna happen. They're gonna be really excited and we're like, man, I can't wait for us to get married. Or they're gonna say, we need to hold on.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, and which is not. It may be the best thing that'll happen. They may say, you know what? Let's hold off a minute.
Mhm.
Which is nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
So they're either going to get really excited and really, do the thing as far as their relationship, or they're going to be around other couples, but like, hold up,
Hold on now.
we need to back up. We need to stay in training a little while longer.
Yeah.
So
The shelf is the biggest floor. Oh,
they gonna be, you ain't gonna let that go,
nope.
I'm gonna be praying for you the rest of the night.
I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need it.
Oh, man.
So,
But look,
all right.
we do want to tell you guys, thank you so much for thinking so much of us.
Mm-hmm.
To even think to have us do this. We feel very honored.
Yep.
Hey, y'all, and people probably don't know, y'all live in another state. Y'all live in
For a
little while. Y'all live in another state. But y'all are still connected to the ministry.
I mean, we had this conversation with you guys. Like, we've been out of state for a couple of years. The Lord never told us to not be a part of Higher Way. And I'm like, okay, well then we just gonna do what it do. And then when COVID hit, I ain't gonna hold you. I was legit like, yes, on the one hand, because I'm like, everything's digital. I was like, yes, how you answered a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And the fall was something really bad, but hey,
he in one hand just say it was. I mean, like the saying say, it was the best of times and worst of times, because it opened everything wide open for us, digital and being online and all that type of stuff. So
because Neil invented the
internet.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we knew that, and I remember the day I was writing again and trying to figure this out, and it just hit me. I asked Mary Neal, and I said something to you, and I was like, "What you think?"
Yep.
You were like, "Yep." And I called you like I was in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wait to leave that meeting and get on the phone and call you. And you told me, you was like, for the first time, I don't know what to say. You got me speechless. Let me talk more on it. Never call you back. So, and when y'all prayed, y'all talk, let us know, like, yeah, y'all was doing so. We was excited and still excited.
Yes.
So thank y'all.
Hmm.
Well, all right. It's 9:01. I'm gonna let y'all get to the evening. Hug the babies for me.
Yes, hug the babies for us.
And you
Yep.
come to the show a couple times. You know,
Yeah.
you see me go.
Yeah.
My- I thought my buddy was gonna make a surprise visit.
I
I
mean, he
just knew
come knock.
he
and then
tried.
always knock because
Yeah,
he
he
always
tried.
knock a certain way.
He tried.
And then I
He
think,
tried. I knew he tried.
and then
He
Amari was like, "Come back, come back."
Well, all right, everybody. Y'all have a good night. Again, everybody that logged on, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Don't
you,
forget
everybody.
this Sunday at 8:30, we have in-person worship, 120 Old Hampton Lane in Hampton, Virginia, at the Hampton History Museum. So come worship with us at 8:30, not 8 o'clock, 8:30 this Sunday. So come hang out with us. And we still talking about bold faith.
Also, still be online at 8:30.
And still be online. So we'll be virtual and in person.
Yes.
And we still talking about bold faith. So thank y'all so much for everybody that jumped online or to watch us live. We appreciate it.